Hello again and welcome back. In his book, Why Not Full Preterism, author Steve Gregg makes a startling claim. He writes that prophecies regarding the parousia, the coming of Jesus, must be handled on a, quote, case-by-case basis. Why? Because in his view, the text is, quote, ambiguous enough to refer either to the end of the Jewish age or a supposed actual end of history, end quote. But today we're calling that what it is. It's eisegesis. Gregg isn't drawing his conclusions from the text. He is forcing his creedal traditions into the text. He's attempting to manufacture a gap where the New Testament authors left none. Let's look at the evidence. The word parousia appears 24 times in the New Testament, where it means presence or arrival. When we look at the parousia of Jesus Christ, we find a singular, consistent theme, not a split-level prophecy that we can pick and choose from like a menu. Jesus himself established the time frame. In Matthew 16, he told his disciples that some of those that were standing there would not taste death until they saw the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. In Matthew 24, Jesus was asked about the sign of his parousia, his coming, and the end of the aion, the age. Note the word carefully, aion. It does not mean the physical planet or the end of the time-space continuum. It refers to the Jewish Mosaic age. When Jesus warned that, quote, this generation would not pass until all these things were fulfilled, he wasn't being ambiguous. He was being specific. Yet commentators like Gregg attempt to bifurcate these prophecies. They want to claim that Matthew 24 refers to AD 70, but passages like 2 Peter 3 must refer to a future end of the world. This is linguistic sleight of hand. Look at the Greek word stoichaion. In 2 Peter 3, it is often translated as elements, melting with fervent heat. Tradition tells us this is the destruction of the atoms in the solar system. But how does the Bible use stoichaion? In Galatians and Colossians, the other spaces where it's used, Paul uses it to describe the elements or rudiments of the world, specifically the legalistic principles of the Mosaic law. Peter, who was present at the Olivet Discourse, was not inventing a new secondary coming of Christ. He was describing the same event Jesus did. The fiery dissolution of the old covenant system and its elements to make way for the new heavens and the new earth, the new covenant kingdom. Paul confirms this in 1 Thessalonians 4:15. I'll quote, "For this we say to you by the word of the Lord, that we who are alive and remain until the coming of the Lord will by no means precede those who are asleep," end quote. Paul specifically states he is communicating that which Jesus spoke concerning his parousia. So letting Scripture interpret Scripture, in Jesus' only prophecies concerning his coming, the timing context was his first century generation. Paul writes to people who were alive and remaining until the parousia. He doesn't speak of a 2,000-year delay. He speaks of an imminent expectation. To suggest, as Steve Gregg does, that we must take these on a case-by-case basis is to admit that the end of history theory cannot survive the text on its own merits. If you have to change the definition of parousia or storchaion, depending on the chapter you're reading, you are not practicing good hermeneutics. You're practicing damage control for a creedal supposition. Now, the end of history is nowhere suggested in the Greek text. It is a man-made addition. The New Testament writers were unanimous. One parousia, one time frame, one generation. It is time to stop reading our traditions into the Bible and start letting the Bible speak for itself. I'm ending here, so please place your comments down below. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm greatly appreciate all of you who have subscribed so far. Please share these videos, and I'll be back shortly. So long.